Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome to this Facebook and Instagram live interview with myself, Heather Friedli. I'm an oil painter and professional snow sculptor here in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I do land and heritage inspired art. And we also have my friend Brad here who is interviewing me about my artwork today.
Well, yeah, just keep the conversation going, but if you have any questions for Heather, feel free to put them in the comments. We do have people monitoring those, and they will interrupt us to ask Heather those questions.
So I wanted to share with everyone today, I'm working on a series of paintings about my Appalachian Trail Thru-Hike. It's my 10-year anniversary of my AT thru. I completed my thru-hike in 2010, where I hiked for 6.5 months from Georgia to Maine. And it took me, it was 2,178 miles the year I hiked it. And so I wanted to commemorate that 10-year anniversary by creating a series of work. And this particular painting here is the first one I did of the series, which was called the Bly Gap Oak Tree. And this particular tree is at the first border crossing between Georgia and North Carolina. And it's an oak tree that is crooked and bent, and it's a really significant tree for a lot of hikers on the trail. And the old story goes that the native people of the area bent this tree to signify where the trail that they used went.
Okay. Are you ready for questions?
Oh, sure, yeah, go for it.
So, my big question is, when you started this body of work, of course, this was pre-pandemic.
Right.
So now that we are all forced to be at home, what's it like to be working on this series about kind of the exact opposite of that, about walking the stretch of the United States, south to north? How is that?
So yeah, I did start the series pre-pandemic. The really interesting thing is this year there will be no class of 2020 of the Appalachian Trail. So every year gets their own class. I was the class of 2010 because that's the year I completed it. And the Appalachian Trail Conservancy has asked hikers not to be on the trail. So for me it's a bit bittersweet because I'm celebrating that 10 years of doing this significant thing in my life where it was a life-changing activity that I did. It was an event. As I was hiking, I was like thinking about my life and really just like doing a lot of introspection, and I feel sad that people this year can't have that same opportunity. That's because they want to be safe on trail, because you can't really regulate for COVID-19 on the trail, and also as you're visiting trail towns, you don't want to bring it with you and spread it.
Yeah, but what about personally, so the meaning that this work has for you, has it shifted at all because of this pandemic and us all having to stay inside?
Wow, that's a really great question, Brad. So, yeah, obviously, as a landscape and heritage-inspired artist, of course, it has really. I mean, to be painting the outdoors, but having to be expected to be indoors has really changed my life. I'm not only an artist, but a mother, and so I'm creating a lot of work in our makeshift studio here, which is our second bedroom. Usually the kids are there, we've moved them into our bedroom, so it's become a whole thing to be an artist during this time, and especially creating outdoors work inside, because usually I create these ones in the studio. And I do plein air work as well, but when I'm working on this series, I'm really confined to my space, which is definitely different.
Yeah.
Well, let's show maybe the audience these pictures over here.
Sure. I'll follow you.
So we talked about the Bly Gap Oak Tree. This one right here is of the rocks of Pennsylvania. And when I was hiking through Pennsylvania, it was really well known as Rocksylvania. So that's the name of this piece, because the trail looks like this. It's just full of boulders and rocks and ankle twisters, and I wanted to kind of commemorate how difficult traversing that terrain was, but also the beauty of it, and all these rocks are kind of beautiful at the same time as they were quite difficult.
So talk a little about texture, both the textures. I've noticed that you choose what you paint. You like rock slides and really textured landscapes, but then also there's the texture of your paint and brush strokes. me a little bit about what does texture mean to you?
I love texture. I was originally in art school a textile major, and so textiles and texture, they were all part of like who I am. So like I really like touching things, and so as I touch the paint with my brush, I can kind of feel the viscosity and the butteriness of that oil paint underneath it. And so when I'm painting, I really like to show people like how that feels through the brush strokes. So I use more of an impasto approach to a lot of my work. And you can see a lot of those impasto brush strokes over here. This one is the Dover oak. This one is the oldest tree on the Appalachian Trail. It's an oak tree in New York, and it has a lot of those impasto brush strokes in between the branches here, and you can kind of see them as light coming through. And I love that dramatic light too of sunsets and the beauty hours between sunrise and sunset. Those kind of times right there.
Talk to us a little bit about color, because you're not shy about using bold, bright color.
No, I am not shy about bold color. I love color. I love color mixing. It's one of my passions in life. I have always been a bright and bold individual, and you can't tell by what I'm wearing right now, but usually I'm in mismatching patterns and really bright clothes. I decided to dress up a little bit for the interview, be professional and formal a little bit. But yeah, I bring that excitement that I like to wear and that into my paintings, and it's just part of who I am. I love life, I think life is beautiful, and I love bright colors. Great question, Brad. I like that one. Come on over here. So this particular painting right here is of the Caffey Knob, and that is a very special place for a lot of hikers on the Appalachian Trail in Virginia. And it's an outcropping of rock that overlooks this valley, and a lot of people sit right here to get their picture taken, and I just wanted to capture the beauty and specialness of that particular place and get that atmospheric distance going on over there, as well as the beautiful dappled light of the sunset. Yeah, you want to jump back in? Sure.
No. Just keep
Okay,
going.
then come on over this way.
When the hall gets wide enough, I'll jump back in.
We're trying to maintain social distance here. Thanks, Brad. Okay, so over here is a view of Roan Mountain, which is in Tennessee. And this particular area is really quite magnificent. It is the balds of Tennessee. So what that means is basically the tops of the mountains are at an elevation that a lot of trees don't grow, or they're very stunted. And so I loved traversing this area. I thought it was particularly beautiful with the grassiness of the knobs. And I love the rocks. You have to kind of scramble over some rocks to start traversing these beautiful balds. And I like the dramatic sky going on here. And you can really see those impasto brushstrokes. I was just having so much fun, When I work, now you may have caught my Facebook Live on Friday night where I did a dance-a-jazzer paint-a-thon. I love to move as I work, which is why we're not sitting for this interview, because I like to move. And so when I'm doing my paintings, you can see that a lot of movement in my brushstrokes because I'm moving a lot as I work. So I love it. I'm a kinesthetic learner, I'm a kinesthetic doer, and that's part of who I am and what I try to express here on my canvas.
So you're also moving a fair bit between close up and far away.
Yeah.
Because the work reads quite differently depending on the distance from it. So
that's
is that part of your dance too?
Yeah, it is part of my dance. So Brad has been in the studio a lot with me over the past 2 years, and he knows that I love to get up close, but then back away. So if you were with me yesterday during my plein air painting session at Afton, a lot of times I say, hey, I'm backing up now, take a look. It's very important to back up, take a look, because you want to be able to make sure that your audience not only reads these giant paintings from up close as really cool textural and maybe abstract pieces, but you also want to make sure that your audience reads it far away of maybe actually what it is, or at least making sure it makes sense to your viewer and yourself. And so when I was working on this piece, I would take thick brushes, chunk things in, take smaller brushes, get them in, and then do a lot of back and forth, and that's part of the dance of creating the work too.
Do you find, is there any artists that you're really inspired by? Because that sounds a lot like Monet's paintings where you get up close and you can't tell, like looking at his pieces. Like if you're right up close to it, like his bridge over water in his backyard pond, you can't tell what it is until you step back about 10 feet, 15 feet, and then you see it. Are there any painters like that that are inspiring to you?
Wow, I haven't thought about that before. That's a really great question, Kelly. I don't think I've ever been in the room with a large Monet before, but I can only imagine that it was very similar. Because those water lily paintings were really big.
Really big. That's
Wow,
what it kind of makes me
great
think of,
question.
because I've actually seen a few of his pieces up close and that, and until you step back 15 feet, you don't really actually understand what it is almost.
Wow, that sounds really cool. I don't necessarily, but you know what it does remind me of? Snow sculpting.
Yep.
Because we're making these large-scale snow sculptures that are, 8 foot by 8 foot up to 12 foot by 12 foot, and you're maybe working on a tiny part of that sculpture, but then you have to back up in order to see all of it. So I feel like that's where my snow sculpting informs my painting.
Great.
Yeah.
Should we?
Looks like we're getting ready to talk about a work in progress.
Yeah, I've got a work in progress.
Sorry.
Come on down, everyone.
You're clear.
I'll try to join in the frame.
Yeah, this is a 6 foot distance. This is a huge canvas. So I am still working on my Appalachian Trail series. Had COVID-19 not happened, I was on track to complete it for my opening on April 4th. But since COVID-19 happened and they closed our studios, I switched gears a little bit because I knew I wasn't going to be able to show this work, maybe even for the entirety of this year, into doing commission pieces, which I've been working for people diligently. Which is great. So if you are interested in commission work, I am open for commissions. We can talk about what that looks like. Just email me, heather@friedliarts.com, or send me a PM on my Facebook or Instagram pages. I love commission work. I want to make your dreams come true. Let's make your house beautiful. Especially if you're stuck at home. You need live art. Okay, anyway, so this particular piece I am in progress with still, and this is actually a view of Mount Katahdin, which is the last mountain that you hike up in the Appalachian Trail. It's a sacred mountain. It's in Maine. It is the big finale for people that are heading north on the Appalachian Trail. And as you can see, I start with a red ground, and I took out the highlights, and I started bringing in some colors in here too. So, I work in layers, so this is mostly underpainting still, but I started getting in some of those other layers too. And, it's I can't wait to finish it because it's going to be really significant. And I'm going to have at least one more piece after this. I'm going to work on one of the White Mountains in New Hampshire. So, yeah, and then I completed my summit of Mount Katahdin October 11th of 2010, which was literally 3 days before they closed the mountain for the year. So we just barely squeaked in there for the finishing, for the last hike. Are there any questions from the audience?
How are we doing on time?
We're doing, we still got a little bit of time yet.
Sure.
I think we got 14 minutes.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little about the challenges with the pandemic? Just the challenges to actually getting work done?
Yeah, it definitely is challenging. Obviously, having a studio is one of those things that's really great for getting work done because you have a special space that you go to get it done, and that's a good mind thing because I need to get out of my house to work. That's usually what works best for me. But now I'm working at home, and as a mom, I have my kids at home, and that can be really challenging. My oldest, he does school during the day at home now, and I have to be a teacher, and my youngest, when he's home, is crazy, so, and they always want my attention. So most of my work hours right now are an hour or two I can sneak in the evening while my husband's home with the kids, and or sometime on the weekend. So that's kind of what we've been doing. And as you guys saw that yesterday, I was out at Afton State Park, and so getting outside and doing plein air painting is a great way to actually get out and create work. But my studio work is important too, and so I do it, but it's only for a few hours a week, and so things are a lot slower right now. But as we get further along in the stay at home with COVID-19, I'm finding that I'm developing routines that seem to work for our family, which is really important.
We have a question from Mary Beth. at Ugly Daisy Studio. She wants to know what your favorite music to work to is.
Well, okay, so if you tuned in on Friday night for my Jazz or Paint a Dance-a-thon, you know that I like mood music, music with a higher tempo, like, music that might be a little more sassy, I feel like. I really enjoy a few genres. I like jazz because it can have that nice pace and I can really like move with it and my brain, I think jazz is so creative and my brain kind of locks into that mode and then I can really move with it. That's really important. The other kind of musics that I like to listen to depends on my mood a little bit. I really like hip hop and trip hop. Those I find are nice for me to move to, and I really love Lizzo and that kind of music. That's one of my primary stations. I think I always have on is Lizzo and people that are like her. I do my Google Play music and Janelle Monáe. I think that their kind of drive and their feminism and their musical styles really click with how I work, and so those are like definitely important music for me when I work. So yeah, jazz, Lizzo and Janelle Monáe kind of music, and then like the hip hop and trip hop for sure, because I need that kind of beat to keep going. That's really important for my work.
So what's the best way for people to keep following you, get in touch with you, find out what's coming up, when this show will be staged?
Such a good question, Brad. Really good question. So, right now, I think most things are moving to 2021. For sure, this show will be up 2021 at the Hudson Hospital through the FIPS in Wisconsin. They're going to be doing a show July to October, so I'm believing this series is moving to them because they need large-scale work. For sure, if you want to contact me, Facebook and Instagram is the best way. My Facebook is Art of Heather Friedli. My Instagram is Friedli Arts, which is F as in Frank, R-I-E-D-L-I as in Igloo, A-R-T-S as in Arts. So that's my Instagram handle. And of course, I have a website, friedliarts.com. Send me a message. And I also have an Etsy page, so if you're interested in prints, you can go to my Etsy site, which is Friedli Arts. So everything's under Friedli Arts. I try to keep it simple like that.
Yeah. What about, I know you had a pretty full year lined up ahead of you. Are any other projects moving forward, or is everything kind of on
Really great question. Actually, come on over this way with me. I have one more piece that has something to do with things that happened this year. So, as many of you may know, Powderhorn Art Fair had selected me to be their Artist of the Year. My image here is on all their promotional material. Unfortunately, a few weeks ago we found out that Minneapolis parks were closed for the rest of the summer, and that included two events like Powderhorn Art Fair. So unfortunately, Powderhorn Art Fair won't be happening this summer physically in person, but they are going to be having an online version, and so you can still check out my artwork in their advertisements, and you can buy a t-shirt if you want to with my artwork on it through Powderhorn Art Fair, but they are no longer having it in person, so that's a bummer. So yeah, the things that kind of got moved around, canceled, Art Crawl, Powderhorn Art Fair. I need to talk with the Dow. There was a show there, and I'm assuming it's got moved. I had a show at the Wiseman coming up in the fall. That got, I think, postponed to next March, and of course the one at the FIPS that was supposed to happen this July got moved to 2021 for sure. So, things get moved around, but we're rolling with it, and I'm excited for next year, 2021. Hopefully, it's going to be super cool. But yeah, so this one is a piece called Life with Death, and I really enjoy kind of the Southwest themes. I grew up in the Southwest, and this is part of more of my Southwestern series, and I enjoy flowers and landscapes, and so those are all kind of interwoven in this piece. Yeah, any other questions from the audience?
No, none on here. I mean, there's a bunch of people coming on saying your audio's working great,
Oh,
and
okay.
giving
Well,
you
that's
thumbs up and everything.
Hey, thumbs up, everyone. You know what? Speaking of cool things, so if you did miss my Jazzer Paint a Dance-a-thon this Friday night, I'm sorry, you missed out because it was amazing. I was like dancing like a fool and painting. I'm actually going to do it again this coming Friday because it was so much fun. So I'm going to make an all-new playlist and I'm going to do my Jazzer Paint a Dance-a-thon. Join me at Facebook at Art of Heather Friedli at 7 p.m. next Friday. You can grab a canvas and do it at home and follow along if you want to. I'm going to be continuing that painting that I started this past Friday. So come and Jazzer Paint a Dance-a-thon with me. That would be amazing. And last time it went for almost 2 hours, which I had a lot of people remark at the end, Heather, how did you keep dancing for that long? Because that was really intense. And I don't even know how I was dancing for that long. It was amazing. So come, paint, join me, Art of Heather Friedli on Facebook.
Great.
Yeah, and of course, as always, like and share this video, and visit me, Facebook, Instagram, or if you're interested in ordering a print, Etsy, and or contact me for original work. Everything is for sale unless otherwise noted.
So I got a couple of things. Lively FE for today said have the audience pick tunes. Like maybe have the audience maybe throw in some part of the playlist. Maybe put it out in advance is what they're saying, I think.
Oh, you know what? That's my mom. Hi, Mom. I love you. The only problem is that I have to use public domain music, or else they will shut off my live feed. So I'm sorry, Mom. I wish I could do that, or else it would have been Lizzo and things like that last time. So can't do that, but Epiphany of Sound is a subscription service that I'm using currently that is a public domain, copyright-free, royalty-free music. And I am using it, and I'm combing through, and I'm finding the best of what I can find. And I'm actually, like, some of those songs are pretty great, so, you know, I wish we could do that, Mom, but maybe we'll just have to have a party here at some point when COVID-19 is over. Okay, I promise everyone that we will have an in-person Heather Jazzer Paint a Dance-a-thon. As soon as COVID-19 is done, it will be an amazing party. I'll rent out a big room here at the Schmidt, and we're going to just throw down.
Sounds good.
That
and
sounds
then
amazing.
61 Julie also said, will this Instagram interview be on Instagram permanently?
Will it be?
I don't know.
Sure. Well, I think we'll figure it out. Yeah.
I can't remember if it does or not, but yeah.
You know, this is the first time I've done live on Instagram, so bear with me. I'm not sure exactly, but we're all going to learn together.
It will be on Facebook, the Facebook version of it?
Yeah, it should be on Facebook.
And that will be at the Schmidt Arts?
Yep, Schmidt Arts on Facebook, so definitely tune in there.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Great. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. This is our Art Crawl interviews, and, you know, I really hope, I don't know about you all, but maybe we can do some more throughout the year here, maybe with some other artists here at the Schmidt. I think this has been really informative, and I've enjoyed filming and asking questions and giving answers. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining on Instagram.
One more.
Oh, one more question.
Crispy Copper. Is there a specific thing in landscape painting you especially love to paint? One last thing.
Great question. Come over here.
Okay.
That's my friend John McNair, by the way. Check out his artwork, Crispy Copper, on Instagram. Really cool work. He's one of my buddies from art school. So one of my favorite things to paint is the sky. And actually my last series of work, which was my Minnesota Cloudscape series that I did last year, was a bunch of different skyscapes that I found just beautiful and intriguing. And so there's so much movement in the sky, and it's always changing. And you know, the sky can be calm, and it can be violent, and it can be awesome in that kind of glorious way, like when the sunbeams are coming down. And so the sky is just really something that captures me, and I just feel like there's so much freedom in the air and the sky, and that's the thing I love doing the most with landscapes. I also really love rocks. They're pretty cool. I also am really excited about working more with atmospheric distance. I feel like I'm still working on that. as part of like what I do, but I like that feel of atmospheric distance, and maybe that just goes with the sky. You know, you're thinking about air and distance, and like the way that the sky is through that distance. I think it's pretty cool.
All right.
Well, thanks again for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.